Oh, that's right, I remember we did that last time, right? Okay, so I'll take a minute on slate. Okay. All right, we are rolling, speed, get ready for bars and tone, and naked bars and tone. Losing that, losing bars and tone. Get ready to take that slate, take it. All right, now we can hold it. Good. And get ready to lose slate 3 too soon. Speed 2 and lose slate. I just screwed that up. Whatever. Can we just start that over again? Okay. Fix it again or no? Yeah. Okay. So countdown. Let's hit it. Get ready to bring in the logo underneath it. Go.
Hello and welcome. I'm Brandon Torres.
And I'm Michelle Morales, and this is the Pacific Coast News for the County of San Mateo.
It's Friday, May 23rd, 2014, and this is the news for the week.
Our top story for this week is that the residents of Half Moon Bay have started a petition to get the Pilarcitos Bridge on the coastal trail repaired because there has been no response from the state's Park and Rec Department. Here is a Half Moon Bay resident telling the City Council about the petition during their May 20th meeting and the mayor's response.
Felt very much the same as we did about that this problem of not having that bridge functioning, and put together a petition and through change.org and put together this petition that would go out to the California Department of Parks and Recreation. In a very short time, to be able to get 187 signatures is pretty significant in less than, this was like within 5 days, just from the website. Kurt, I know, went ahead and sent the petition also to Jerry Hill's office. But I also think that it would behoove the council and our mayor to let everyone know what you're doing to help this, because people are very, very concerned about this. It is a real problem for many people. I think people in Half Moon Bay would like to know, that even though it's not under the Half Moon City's jurisdiction, we're hoping that you have some kind of influence, with people in the state, that not only just the citizen, but also everybody on the council, and especially the mayor of Half Moon Bay, is really concerned about something, not only fixing this, but getting information back to the people in the community about when, how, and this is going to be resolved, because it's real important. Thanks.
We've talked to our supervisors, we've talked to Assemblyman Gordon, I've talked personally to, pardon me? Yeah, thank you, Vice Mayor, reminded me, we even offered funding to help move this thing along. But when you're talking bridges, it's not an easy situation, as you well know. But we're not going to let it go. And so I appreciate you challenging myself, and I've continued to do it. There's not much I can tell other than what staff has reported on, because they don't tell us anything. And once we get some information back, we hear it, I get you, we'll try to get more information out to the public about it, and once we hear something, we'll continue to share it, without a doubt.
Again, that was Mayor Farmer John Mueller responding to a resident about the Pilarcitos Bridge on the coastal trail and when it would be prepared. The deteriorating bridge was damaged when a California State Parks employee drove a tractor over the bridge, forcing its closure in April. As the mayor noted, they reached out to State's Park Department and haven't received any replies as of yet. The city is encouraging residents to contact State Senator Jerry Hill so that not only does he know how important this issue is to residents, but so that he also is aware that the Parks Department still hasn't replied to the city. The alternative route forces the users of the coastal trail to use the Naomi Patridge Trail, which parallels Highway 1, even though there is significant damage to the bridge and it is considered closed. Many residents continue to use it still. Many residents have complained because this is a route their children take to go to school, and cyclists use the trail for commuting. The state's Park and Rec Department released a statement about the bridge closure on April 7th, and Vicki Waters of the department would only say that they are still reviewing their options on replacing or repairing the bridge. Lastly, the president and treasurer of the San Mateo County Harbor District also attended the city council meeting. Commissioner James Tucker announced 2 awards the harbor recently earned.
First is an award we received called the Clean Marina, and that's a very competitive, very controversial award that gives us statewide recognition. It has to do with environmental issues and how we handle them, also issues of sustainability. And it's the first time Pillar Point and Oyster Point have ever received that award, so we're very, very pleased and proud of our staff. Second was the Port Captains Association of the state of California. Gave us an award for over 1,000 search and rescue missions accomplished by our Harbor Patrol. That means that Coast Guard didn't have to come down most of those times to effectuate those rescues, saving human life and property. As recently as Sunday morning, this past Sunday morning, the office received a mayday call from a large vessel that was a sail vessel and had run aground on the rocks, and they weren't sure exactly where they were in the fog. How far away from Pillar Point opening were they? Our patrol went out. About a half an hour later, they found them, and they found 3 people in a small rubber raft. They had abandoned their vessel. So they brought them back into the harbor, where medical attention was waiting for them, went back out and pulled the boat, the sailboat, off the rocks, out to open area where a tow service would pick it up and finish the towing service. Very, very proud of that. That's the training that our people have that sometimes we overlook and forget.
In other local government news, the San Mateo County Supervisors authorized the use of $15,000 for the construction of a public access path to access Surfers Beach in El Granada during their May 20th meeting. The unpaved path has eroded about 2 feet, and the beach users and surfers often carry gear as they travel down the difficult slope. The funds are coming from the 9-unit condominium project that is located between 121 and 137 Cabrillo Avenue in El Granada. When the application for the project went before the Coastal Commission in June 2013, the Commission approved the application with conditions. One of the conditions was the county parks will use the funds to provide for the construction of the proposed project, and the money can't be used for planning documents, planning costs, or other costs. Now we'll switch gears to this week's Coastal Crime segment, which begins with the arrest of 2 juveniles who were found to be under the influence of alcohol after one was identified as the suspect who slapped the buttocks of a woman, leaving a visible red mark. May 27th at around 7:15 p.m.
Excuse me, that was May 17th.
The woman was crossing Kelly Avenue near Church Street with her family when the incident occurred, and the suspect rode away on a scooter with another juvenile who was on a bike. The woman's husband located the juvenile on the bike nearby and called law enforcement, who then located the suspect on the scooter. Again, the juveniles were found to be under the influence of alcohol and were arrested and released to their parents. The case will be forwarded to the juvenile DA for review on charges of public intoxication for both and the additional charge of battery for one. While over in Pacifica later that evening at around 11:45 p.m., a resident stumbled across a man on the ground on Palmetto Avenue near West Manor Drive, who informed him he had been assaulted. Pacifica police responded to the call of a resident being on the roof of the 600 block of Arguello Boulevard on May 16th around 11:30 p.m. Upon arrival, officers found 34-year-old resident on the roof. Members of the Pacifica Police Department Crisis Intervention Team responded and assisted in communicating with the subject. After approximately 8 hours of talking with the man, he came down from the roof on his own accord, where he was detained by officers and later transferred to a hospital. A sheriff's deputy was dispatched to a report of battery and met with a 15-year-old victim and her parent on May 16 at 3 p.m. The juvenile said she rode a Samtrans bus home from school, and an elderly man sat down behind her and asked if he could braid her hair, then held a handful of her hair in his hand. The girl stated she pulled away and felt very uncomfortable. When she disembarked at her bus stop, the unknown man also got off at the bus stop near Airport Street at LaGuardia Lane, Moss Beach. The girl stated she had never seen the man before, and both parents and child were advised to call law enforcement if he is seen again. Then in Pacifica, a resident on Arguello Boulevard reported that someone opened a credit card in their name and possible suspect information on May 14th at around 3:30 p.m. There was also 3 reports of identity theft. The first was reported by a resident on Catalina Avenue in Pacifica on May 16th at around 1:55 p.m. A resident on Lauren Avenue in Pacifica reported that someone used their Social Security number on May 12th at around 8:30 a.m. The other report by a resident on Crespi Drive later that morning at 11 a.m. In other coastal crime news, Pacifica Police Department will be conducting a DUI driver's arrest license checkpoint on May 23rd at an undisclosed location within the city limits between the hours of 7 p.m. and 1 a.m. Research shows that crashes involving an impaired driver can be reduced by up to 20% when well-publicized DUI checkpoints and proactive DUI patrols are conducted routinely. There was 774 alcohol-related deaths during 2012 in California alone. Nationally, the latest data shows nearly 10,000 people were killed by impaired driving. Over the course of the past 2 years, DUI collisions resulted in 21 injury crashes, harming 24 of our family and friends in Pacifica, said Chief Tussa. DUI checkpoints are placed in locations based on collision statistics and frequency of DUI arrests, affording the greatest opportunity for achieving drunk and drugged driving deterrence. Drivers caught driving impaired can expect the impact of a DUI arrest to include jail time, fines, fees, DUI classes, and other expenses that can exceed $10,000. Funding for this checkpoint is provided to Pacifica Police Department by a grant from the California Office of Traffic Safety through the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. In the past, DUI checkpoints were held at Pacifica State Beach, better known as Lindemar Beach to the locals. These are some departments who have called upon the California Highway Patrol to join law enforcement agencies across the nation in a national seatbelt education and enforcement mobilization which began May 19th and will run until June 1st. Chief Avery Brown, commander of Golden Gate Division, stated, "We want people to make it to their destination safely, but if there is a collision, we don't want to explain to your family that your injury or death could have been prevented if you had worn your seatbelt. It only takes 2 seconds to buckle your seatbelt, and those 2 seconds could literally save your life." For the first time in 5 years, fatal collisions involving unrestrained vehicle occupants have gone up. Over 10,335 people were killed in traffic collisions not utilizing their seatbelt. Last year, during Memorial Weekend, 15 people were killed in CHP jurisdictions, 6 without seatbelts. That is 40% of the total vehicle occupants. The minimum cost of an adult seatbelt violation in California is $142 and up to $445 for not properly restraining a child under the age of 16. Also, failing to properly restrain a child in a car will earn you a point on your driver's license.
The 18th marks 2 months since 34-year-old Errol Chang, the resident of 384 San Pedro Avenue, Pacifica, was shot and killed by Daly City SWAT after a standoff that shut down most of Pedro Point for over 8 hours. Pacifica Police Department and District Attorney offices are still investigating the incident, and Captain Joe Spanheimer hasn't released any new details about the investigation yet, only that it's still ongoing. It all started around noon on March 18th when Pacifica Police responded to a family's call that their adult son was displaying paranoid behavior. After arriving, police encountered 34-year-old Errol Chang in the backyard of his residence. Chang refused to comply with officers' commands and brandished an axe. After interviewing family members who were on the scene, officers learned that Chang may have access to a rifle and ammunition, which were also hidden in the house. That's when surrounding residents were evacuated. Officers attempted to communicate with Chang, but he refused to respond to any means of communication. The Daly City SWAT team was activated and called to the scene. Negotiators continued for hours to contact him through various means, including the uses of a public address system. Eventually, the SWAT team made entry into the residence. Chang armed himself with a knife and stabbed one of the SWAT team members. As a result, a SWAT team member shot and killed Chang. The injured officer was transported for medical treatment, and his injuries were not life-threatening. During the incident, friends of Chang told Pacific Coast News that Chang was schizophrenic and hadn't taken his medication for the past few days. They said consequently, Chang was seeing and hearing things that weren't there. That is why his family called the police. In addition, during our April 23rd broadcast, Pacific Coast News reported on Matt Chang addressing the Pacifica City Council during the April 14th meeting and how the police handled the incident. Here's a clip of that.
My name is Matt Chang. I'm the brother of Errol Chang, who was murdered by the Daly City SWAT team and Pacifica Police Department. Errol was officially diagnosed with schizophrenia. Over the past 2 weeks, before he was murdered, he had been displaying increasingly erratic behavior. We had been closely monitoring his behavior, and we knew that he needed to seek help. On March 18th, the day he was murdered, my mother, my father, and I attempted to convince Errol to let us take him to a psychiatric emergency facility. Because of his erratic frame of mind, we were unfortunately unable to do so, and we felt we had no choice but to call 911. We detailed his condition at length, explained that he was carrying a hatchet in his pocket to protect himself because he thought people were after him. They then smashed the remaining windows and launched a series of flash bombs into the house. On several occasions, as you'll see in the pictures, Errol was leaning out of the front windows with his arms outstretched, the universal gesture for surrender. They then seized the home, a decision which not only resulted in my brother's murder, but also a member of the SWAT team was allegedly cut on the forearm. It's obvious that these procedures and tactics do not work. He was in an extremely paranoid state. He thought people were trying to kill him. And every tactic the police used made him more agitated, and his paranoid fantasies a reality. Also, the police left 6 flash bombs in the house where my father was living. 2 days after my brother was murdered, I received a phone call from Sergeant Glasgow that they had forgot to remove the flash bombs from my father's house and admitted to me that they were potentially dangerous because they didn't know if they had all been detonated. These bombs could have gone off and caused a fire or even worse. This level of incompetence is just unbelievable and unacceptable. Who is going to be held responsible for this? How is that protecting and serving the citizens? Thank you.
Again, that was Matt Chang addressing the Pacific City Council about his brother, Errol Chang.
And I'm on Brandon. Go.
The Chamber of Commerce held its Rock the Block, the Coastside Block Party celebrating life on the coastside. It gives coastsiders a chance to visit with neighbors, listen to some local bands, sample some coastal cuisine, and learn about some local nonprofits and businesses. The event benefited In the Nick of Time, a nonprofit giving health screenings to athletes to prevent cardiac arrest on the field. The event was full of emergency vehicles along with the SPCA. Hassett Hardware presented the first Kids Corner. The community square was sponsored by New Leaf Community Markets, and the main stage was presented by the San Mateo County Harbor District. It also had a booth right by the stage, and we're giving away coffee mugs with pencils. Here's what Charisse McHugh, president of the Half Moon Bay Chamber of Commerce, had to say about the event.
Pumpkin Festival is 300,000 people, but of course they come from all over the Bay Area and all over Northern California. This is for Coastsiders. This is where you walk down and see your neighbor that used to be your neighbor 15 years ago and you haven't seen them, and it's a lot of fun. We know each other by sight, not always by name, but this is where Coastsiders come out. They see what is in the stores, so hopefully they come back and they shop here, because when people shop here, they are paving their streets and paying for their kids' Little League and helping to keep our town prosperous and a strong local economy. It also gives the nonprofits a chance to come out and have people see what they do. We have so many awesome nonprofits on the coast, and that's what makes our ecosystem work as well. Cunha's burned down 11 years ago. We're standing right in front of Cunha's. And Cunha's, we used Cunha, we did it to raise funds to help their employees when it burned down. And then the next year, everybody loved having a coastside block party, that we did it again the following year. But this is actually our 9th, not our 10th, because we took a year off somewhere in there, probably I think maybe 2008, 2009, the height of the recession or whatever. It was hard to raise sponsorship. It takes about at least $22,000 to put this event on, and so we have to raise the money to do it. The event benefits In the Nick of Time, and it also benefits Chamber scholarships. Now, the Nick of Time, it is a phenomenal nonprofit. The woman who founded it is from Half Moon Bay, but they actually live in Seattle. Her son was 17 and he was practicing football practice, and he died of a cardiac arrest on the field during practice. So they go around. This is the first time they ventured out of Washington State, and she's coming back to her hometown to do it for the first time in September, and they will be screening all Half Moon Bay High School athletes.
This week there were a few beaches that have elevated levels of indicator bacteria, and signs have been posted to warn users that they may become ill if they engage in water contact activities in the posted areas. Signs have been posted at the following beaches: Capistrano Beach, surf at West Point Avenue Beach and the Outer Harbor Beach. San Mateo County routinely tests 43 natural recreational water sites each week by a combination of county staff and volunteers, primarily associated with the local chapter of the Surfrider Foundation. Samples are analyzed by the San Mateo County Public Health Laboratory for 3 bacteria indicator parameters specified by state regulations. These indicator bacteria include total coliform, E. coli, and intracoccosis. When high indicator bacteria levels are found, the site is posted with a warning sign and is retested to confirm the results. Warning signs are posted when bacterial standards have exceeded state swimming standards, but there are no confirmed sources of contamination. Persons using recreational waters posted by county health officials do so at their own risk. These signs are posted to alert the public that there may be a risk of illness associated with swimming in contaminated waters, and are an advisory rather than a quarantine or beach closure. A warning sign is also posted at Frenchman's Creek at Venice Beach North, since it also tested high in bacteria.
And that's all we have time for this week. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back to our normal airing time for our next broadcast, which is June 14th. Please join us again then. In the meantime, you can check out our Facebook page for breaking news or submit suggestions and feedback. Enjoy your Pacific Coast.